Hi, Beth. Hey, Joanne. Hey, Vicki. Hey, Erin. Welcome to our Tuesday morning meditation and talk and Dharma talk. And we are going to be exploring resistance today. So welcome. Good to see you here. Let's go ahead and start with our meditation. And so letting yourself be comfortable. It's useful if you're sitting on something that has a back to it to keep your back away from, the back of whatever you're sitting against so that you can sense a long spine and just get a little present with your backbone. It's useful as we arrive to just take 3 deep breaths, and we'll hold at the top of our inhale. So deep breath in, holding, sipping in a little bit more, shrugging shoulders up to the ears, scrunching up the face, kind of tightening up, and exhale, release, sighing it out, like letting air out of a tire. And again, deep breath in, hold, sipping in a little bit more, shrugging shoulders up to the ears, scrunching up the face, tightening up, and let it go. And last one, breathing in, hold, sip in a little bit more, tighten up, and release. As we just draw our attention a little closer to our breathing, we make the intentional choice to, release the habits of mind, thinking, planning, rehearsing, rehashing, remembering, fantasizing, judging, comparing. We commit right from the beginning of our practice that we will not engage with these habits of mind. Instead, we will open to non-thinking, which allows thoughts to arise, absolutely. The difference is we're not engaging in the habits of mind, letting thoughts come and go as we anchor into the breath and the sensations in the body. Feel your body sitting here. Feel your awareness just sink as you keep your heart lifted. Maybe even allowing this next inhale to be received in a soft belly. Just allowing awareness to drop into the belly center. Sensing the space about 2 inches beneath the navel. You can let your inner world be soft. Remembering these words from Aldous Huxley, or maybe this is the first time you're hearing them. He said, "It's dark because you are trying too hard. Lightly, child, lightly. Learn to do everything lightly. Yes, feel lightly, even though you're feeling deeply. Just lightly let things happen and lightly cope with them. So throw away your baggage and go forward. There are quicksands all about you, sucking at your feet, trying to suck you down into fear and self-pity and despair. That's why you must walk so lightly. Lightly, my darling." So just working with yourself in this way, with this lightness. And when you start to notice that you tighten up, you get contracted, it's really relaxing. You can even just sense a softening inside of your chest, a softening through the back of the body. Sensing a softness through the eyes and in the jaw. Just lightly touching the breath as you feel it coming in and going out. You don't have to curate or manage your inner experience. But do become aware of your heart. I don't know, maybe you're feeling at ease or restless or content or grateful or agitated. Maybe there's something else happening inside in your inner world. Our usual habit is we want to hold on to what we sense as pleasant. We typically have resistance to what is unpleasant. Just for now, you might notice how it is for you, and also notice if maybe there's a way in which you have resistance to some quality of experience that you're having. I don't know, maybe you're agitated and you don't like it. You're sort of wrestling with that agitation. Maybe there's something coming up on your calendar today or this week that you have some dread around, so there's just resistance. And so just sensing what it's like to acknowledge whatever experience you're having that may be challenging. And also name and notice resistance around whatever that is, and allowing both to be here. And then coming back to the breath. And not just the breath, but the body, the felt sense of being in your body. Like really being in your hands and your feet, even inside the ears. Coming back again and again to this embodiment. You might notice the weather of your mind. Maybe it's really busy. Maybe it's all over the place. Maybe it's calm and clear. When we notice the mind is busy, we might also notice, along with the noticing of that, a resistance to it. Some kind of judgment that it should be different. What if instead we just tried on, the mind is just doing what it thinks it needs to do to keep us safe, innocent in its searching, innocent in its comparisons and its judgments and its criticisms, it's catastrophizing, it's fantasizing, whatever it's doing. Rather than resisting its activity, let there be a lightness, a softness, just softening. Just take your hands off the controls. Rather than managing, noticing. Rather than curating, allowing. You don't have to breathe deeper or any different. But including this intimacy with your breath. Treating it like anything that we really care about. Anything that we really care about, we tend to pay attention to. David White said, awareness is the hidden discipline of familiarity. What could be more important? Than this breath that's keeping you alive, that's animating you. When you start to notice yourself wanting to pick up the burden of what could go wrong or what could go right, just relax. With a quality of heart that is imbued with a radical sort of friendliness. Might even just sense, like, what would a more friendliness feel like right now? What would more inner friendliness feel like right now? The landscape of the heart, the motions that are coming and going. They don't stay the same. No matter what you do to try to hold pleasant or push away unpleasant, they come and they go. You can relax. You don't have to manage your heart. No matter how much the inner chatterbox is sort of giving you the play-by-play of your performance, of what could go wrong or what could go right. No matter how much you try to stop that inner narration, or if you get lost in it, it's there, it's going to happen. Notice it more than engaging in it. Sense of space widening between engaging in the content of your heart and your mind and noticing becoming more invested in curiosity than your self-improvement project. I'll spend these last minutes literally just shoring up the attention of the heart mind. And David White reminds us in the full poem that I mentioned a bit of earlier in this meditation. He said, "Your great mistake is to act the drama as if you were alone, as if life were a progressive and cunning crime, with no witness to the tiny hidden transgressions. To feel abandoned is to deny the intimacy of your surroundings. Surely even you at times have felt the grand array, the swelling presence, and the chorus crowding out your solo voice. You must note the way the soap dish enables you, or the window latch grants you freedom. Alertness is the hidden discipline of familiarity. Put down the weight of your aloneness and ease into the conversation. The kettle is singing even as it pours you a drink. The cooking pots have left their arrogant aloofness and seen the good in you at last. All the birds and creatures of the world are unutterably themselves. Everything is waiting for you." Just making yourself comfortable. Let yourself, if your eyes were closed, just orient to your space, looking around the room. This is a great way to come into presence. It's just to open up the gateway of sight. Oh, this is what's actually happening right now. Yeah. Okay. All right. Good to see you all. Let's go ahead and start popping into the chat. You know, how are you doing? Like, why are you here? What's your intention? What is your aspiration? What is it that you're most needing to feel or receive? And as you're doing that, we're going to talk. Our talk starts now. We're going to talk about resistance. And I want to talk about inner and outer resistance. You know, what resistance means, why it comes up, and ways to unhook from it. Ways to unhook from it. Acceptance and clarity. Thank you, Marlene. Also, I want to mention that these talks and this time together and these meditations and Dharma talks are offered by donation, and your donations really make a difference. So I really appreciate those, and there should have been a link that went out with this email announcing this talk. I'm on all the things, PayPal, Zelle, and Venmo. Being comfortable with the uncomfortable as it ebbs and flows. Yeah, good. I like this. Yeah, because we're human. Oh, Beth, the topic of resistance caught my attention today. When you said, I don't have to curate my heart, that caught my attention. The neighbors are playing next door and they yelled, retreat. I have serendipitous awareness that I'm retreating from a lack of clarity and pain in my heart. Yes, Beth. Doing well. My intention is grounding, centering, practicing, pacing myself at this time. So I am getting pulled into drama frenzy. Yes, Marilyn. Yeah, like that lightly poem we started with, right? There are quicksands about you. That's why we go about so lightly, my darling, lightly. Yeah, because it's our habit to protect ourselves from discomfort. I'll say that again. It's our habit to protect ourselves from discomfort. Feeling some heaviness in my heart. Intention is peace and acceptance. Yes. Good, Erin. Yeah, so because we are this way as humans with a nervous system, one of the things that we've developed is resistance to protect us from what we might perceive as being uncomfortable, right? And like, if we really check this out, there's a lot in our experience that's uncomfortable, you know? So there's the resistance that we might have, as Beth pointed out, to our inner experience, the pain that we might have in our heart. Like Erin mentioned, she has a heaviness in her heart. And that's why at the beginning of the meditation, I opened us up to, how is your heart? And is that okay with you? I didn't say those words, but it was another way of saying what I said, which I forget how I put it. But, you know, none of us likes to feel agitated. None of us likes to feel afraid. None of us likes to feel restlessness or boredom. And yet we feel them. No matter how much spiritual work we've done, you can't avoid, you cannot bypass your own heart that has all kinds of feelings it feels, right? So the first level of releasing from resistance is getting like more and more okay with our own hearts and the feelings that emerge from them without making ourselves wrong for it. right? The way that we make ourselves wrong, the way that we judge what's true in our hearts, is one of the ways that we resist our emotional world. Oh, like anger arises. Maybe I'm not even aware anger is arising. So if an emotion is coming up and it's unconscious, and I don't have any space, now my choice is either to just like push the anger down, which is what we tend to do, or we act out of it and we get really self-righteous and justified. But if we haven't caught, oh, I'm angry first, then we are at the whims of like, then we're either acting again, to repress the emotion or to express it. But both of those sides of the coin are done in the shadow, right? So this is not what we want. Those of us who are here, what we want is to be whole. What we want is to be fully and utterly ourselves. What we want is to feel at ease inside of our own skin. What we want is to hear the calling that we've got in our hearts, as every human has, and to honor that calling. And we want to like unhook from anything that's robbing our energy from doing that. All of this emotional curation that we do internally, and we do it with our thinking too, just leaks our energy. So we don't have anything. It's exhausting. And then we don't really have enough left to like thrive. Then we're caught in like surviving life, and then one day looks like the next. And if you're here on this call, you're clear you don't want that. And so one of the things that we need to do is drop the inner war, because the inner war is exhausting. And we wage war against our hearts by judging what's there, based on the preconceived notions we have about who we should be. A good person doesn't get angry. A spiritual person isn't selfish, whatever your thing is. But if you're going to have moments of being selfish and self-centered. You're going to have moments of being angry and greedy. You're going to have moments of being caught in sensual desire, because it's part of being human. And if we are hating ourselves for that, then we're just adding more resistance. We're adding that. Then this is where resistance comes up internally. Now let's talk about how, is that clear? Inner resistance, how that shows up. The antidote to inner resistance is emotional intelligence. What does that mean? Emotional intelligence means I'm not in resistance to my feelings. And when I'm not in resistance to my feelings, I'm not identified with my emotions either. What does that mean? It means I have some discernment around what emotions I take action around and which ones I don't. So now I have some opportunity, some choice. I can notice if I'm emotionally charged.
Are you off? I asked for a bathroom break and I got the whole.
And I can sense whether this is something I should take action around or not. There's plenty of times when it's better and beneficial for us not to pipe off, for us not to act impulsively, right? And this is what tends to happen, like in anger or in greed or in hatred or in delusion or in any of the hindrances. If we're letting those run the show, which we will do if we're resisting the natural arising of emotion, then we will, we get locked inside of the small sense of ourselves, the anxious sense of self. And so emotional intelligence is like getting better and better at, and this is a process and it's not linear, of feeling our feelings. And we hear this a lot in spiritual communities. Just feel your feels, like it's so easy. If it were super easy, all of us would be doing it all the time. but it's not. That's why we have to have a practice. That's why we come to Dharma talks like this one, to remember that, you know, that part of the work isn't being aware of and then loving that, which we've likely spent a lifetime turning away from, which is our very humanness. None of us does this alone. And the work of emotional intelligence needs support. This is where mentors come in. This is where therapists come in. This is where coaches come in. We need somebody that's a human being, somebody that's a human being, of course. Duh. But we need another human in the field, with us to reflect, to help us integrate our emotional world. When I first started doing this work 20 years ago, when I first started meditation practice and mindfulness practice, the reason that I started working with my teacher was because the only emotion that I was really aware of was anxiety. I had no, really nothing else. I knew sadness. I knew when other people were feeling things, but I didn't know when I was, except for I just knew I was anxious all the time. And that was just an indication that my heart was really guarded. I was really guarded against, I was afraid of my own heart. And so, working with someone else to help me recognize what different emotions were, how they felt in the body, was paramount to my own healing. Right. And if you haven't done that work, that could be your next move. That could be your next level of okay, this might be the missing piece for me. This is why it's been really hard for me, even though I know feeling my feelings is something that I need. I can't manage to do it. or I still have very little emotional awareness. And so, I do that work, but there's lots of other people who do it really well too. And so, so there's that. Now let's talk about outer resistance. When we're in resistance to doing the things that we know we need to do to have what we want, right? This is where procrastination shows up. This is where it's like you decide yeah, I'm really gonna lose this extra weight I've put on during COVID or whatever your thing is, right? And it's like, what does that entail? It entails change. Like anytime we are looking at changing things in our life, we'll likely have a bit of inspiration and excitement about it, but that's quickly met with a shit ton of resistance usually. By day 3 or week 2 or whatever it is for you, of whatever your fitness thing is that you've decided to take on, or your eating plan, or maybe it's like you've decided with your partner that you guys are going to have daily check-ins where you're talking about your feelings, which is actually a really good thing to have with your partner, by the way. So you don't become like two ships kind of passing in the night. It's easy not to do because we get in our habit energies and we don't do it. But anytime, anything that we want that's in the service of our growth, we can expect resistance. And what we want to be careful to do is not to put resistance on the altar. So often what we do is we abide and we obey, we obey resistance. We put resistance on the altar and we live our life based on avoiding it. I'm only going to do the things that I don't have resistance to. When resistance shows up, it must mean I should quit, or it must mean, or we fall into procrastination. I'll do it tomorrow, or I'll get there someday. Someday I'll take care of that, but someday never comes. And it's because we haven't gotten good at knowing what resistance is really about, and moving towards what we resist rather than retracting away from it. Let me say that again. Moving towards what we resist rather than retracting away from it. And so imagine that kind of freedom that's available to you when you're It's not like you're waiting for the day when resistance is gone, because that's just not going to happen. That's called fantasy land. That doesn't exist on this human experience plane, whatever you want to call this thing that we're doing together. This human life that we're living is full of resistance. Your body, the cells in your being, they don't want to change. Your brain wants to be like, take the easy route every time. It doesn't want to work extra hard. It's just the way that we're programmed. So we have to know this about ourselves so that when resistance arises, we can take it on rather than take it off. We can move towards it rather than moving away from it. Right. And so how do we move towards resistance? Well, first we have to acknowledge what the thing is that we're resisting. Yeah. I know something right now that I'm resisting. It just arose in my mind. I've been procrastinating on it, putting it off, putting it off, putting it off. Why? Because it's uncomfortable for me to dig into this thing. And so but I know that my freedom is around not doing that. It's around actually, okay, today, and I'm going to do this with you. I know what this thing is. And today I'm committing. I know the first step I need to take towards this thing, and I'm going to take it today. So we chunk out whatever it is we're having resistance around. I don't feel like going for a run this morning. I don't feel like it. That I don't feel like it. We bind up so much energy around this. Not doing things we don't feel like doing and only doing things we feel like doing, and then being pissed about the things that are on our calendar that we don't feel like doing that we have to do. You don't have to do anything. You didn't have to wake up out of bed this morning. Really, you didn't. It was a choice. I could be in bed right now. Now, there's consequences to that choice, but ultimately it is a choice. We've chosen to get out of bed because the consequences likely to staying in bed are great, or maybe we're really excited about the day, and we want to show up, we want to live every day to its fullest. Probably for those of us here, we fluctuate between the two. And so stop choosing what we making decisions based on what you feel like, because the anticipation of future pain or pleasure is problematic. The anticipation of future pain or pleasure is problematic. You can't possibly know how it's going to be until you do the thing. And then you'll know. But trying to think your way through it, oh, this is going to be good for me, or this isn't going to feel good, or this is going to feel good, I'm going to do it, I'm not going to do it. So many things we miss out on because we opt out because we don't feel like it. A great example of that is how many yoga classes have you ever taken where you regretted it? Never. You rarely will go out and exercise and regret it, right? It's just not something that you have regret over afterwards. You're so glad you did it. If you're really devoted to growth and actualization, you stop making decisions based on what you feel like. And you start making decisions based on what your deeper values are. Okay, I'm devoted to waking up out of the trance of unworthiness and into the truth of my more than enoughness. And this requires me to be super present and engaged with whatever it is that I'm doing. And that's my choice. That's aligned with my deeper values. Right? If family is important to me with it, which it is, and family time is important to me with it, which it is, and we only have maybe the evening time when we can all be together and doing something fun, the fact that I'm not a night person and I don't feel like it doesn't get to make the decision for me of whether we go out for a walk and look at the lights. This is a real example, right? That just recently happened where I didn't feel like it. I really did. And I had a long day of work and I just wanted to watch TV. That was what I felt like doing. And that's okay. And I let myself do that. But not a lot. And like when the moment I notice that and the words wanting to come out of my mouth, you know what, you guys, I just don't feel like it. I'm too tired. I didn't say that. I put my coat on. We went for the walk, right? So glad I did, because that was in alignment with my values, right? And just because we value something doesn't mean we're going to feel like doing. As a matter of fact, if it's really on our edge of growth, if it's pushing our edges, we're going to have even more resistance to it, to doing it. We're going to have resistance to that challenging conversation that we know we need to have with that person, right? And we're going to listen to that resistance and push the snooze button on it, because we're more devoted to our comfort than we are to our values or our purpose. That's why in practice, like in Zen, for example, or in any mindfulness, if you take on a mindfulness meditation practice, what's one of the most important instructions? Consistency. You sit whether you feel like it or not. It's not a question whether you feel like it. Good grief. I would never meditate, like probably. It's never a question for me anymore. It's not whether I feel like it, I just do it. Like that Nike commercial, you just do it. And so we build up this muscle inside of ourselves to that has us trust ourselves more too. When we show up and do the things that we know will make us be more of who we are. And y'all know what your things are, and y'all know what you're in resistance to. Right? And so you might ask yourself right now, like, what's that thing? Like, I just own something that I've been resisting, that I've been pushing the snooze button on, that I'm going to take a step towards today to take care of. What's yours? What's something that's like on your agenda, or you could do it, or like, but like you have resistance, and so you've been backing down away from it. What's like one step in the direction of that thing that you're resisting? And I want all of us to think about this right now and to jot it down. And if you really want to, you can even pop it into the chat. What's the phone call? What's the work? What's the writing? What's the workout? What's the time with family? What's that thing that you've been resisting that you can take one step towards today? Let's take a moment with that. Call a therapist who works with people with chronic illness. That's beautiful, Beth. Thank you for putting that in the chat too. Yes. Yeah. And we're all like just energetically supporting you in that, and you can sense that today with you, as you make that call. Really important one. Getting a good mentor is like the best thing you can do in the service of your growth, because it's so easy to hide. It's so easy to talk yourself out of the shit that you need, right? But if you have somebody who's on your side, who doesn't buy into your bullshit, who's actually like devoted to you having what it is that you deeply want, that's one of the best things that we can do. Being a grown-up, LOL, sort of. I've been resisting contacting a client who will email me and then disappears and doesn't sign up. Good, Marlene. So today you're going to be contacting her, yes? Resisting 2 work writing assignments, Marilyn. Good. Which one are you going to pick to work on today? Cleaning my floors, LOL. Yeah, so like Erin, again, chunking things out with resistance is really helpful. So all you got to do is walk your feet over to wherever the mop is. Well, probably the sweeping of the floors comes first. So one thing at a time, right? That's one of the things that we do when we're working with resistance, is just one foot in front of the other, right? Because one of the things that keeps us in resistance is overwhelm, holding too many things in the mind at once, and then feeling like it's an insurmountable mountain. We've got to chunk it down, okay? And then don't forget the inner, because there's probably an emotion that's coming up that's related to the resistance around what you want to do. And so like you want to notice whatever that emotion is. Fear, irritation, and then like starting to befriend that feeling, even if you don't like it. Yes. Yes. Good. Vicki. Yeah. So committing to doing that today. Yeah, I will start by printing out rather than try to start again on the computer. Good, 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 you guys. Awesome. Okay, we're going to close. What would you say is the biggest takeaway from our meditation and Dharma talk? I want to mention, please keep your eyes open for Radiant on the Rise. It's a free offering that I do every year. It's coming up in January, and you'll have an opportunity to join that soon. So just be on the lookout for that email. There'll be several emails that come to you. It's a free 5-day masterclass. Resistance is addressed inside of it. Stop making decisions based on what you feel like. Good, Marlene. Yeah, really important for us heart-centered people. Because a life like devoted to your feelings and doing things based on what you feel like is a life like for sure of spinning your wheels, stagnation, and mediocrity. 100%. Decide based on your values, not what you feel. This is the key to so much energy when you start operating like this. I second and third that, Marlene or Marilyn. Decide based on your, that was Marilyn. Yeah, not Marlene. Yeah, good, good. All right. And the poem I read was Lightly. I'm going to read it again as we close today. It's by Aldous Huxley, right? He wrote Siddhartha, amongst other things. It's dark because you are trying too hard. Lightly, child, lightly. Learn to do everything lightly. Yes, feel lightly, even though you're feeling deeply. Just lightly let things happen and lightly cope with them. So throw away your baggage and go forward. There are quicksands all about you, sucking at your feet, trying to suck you down into fear and self-pity and despair. That's why you must walk so lightly, lightly, my darling. All right. Hey, Jenny. I'm glad you could join us for a little bit. All right. Less fear. My sister has COVID. Ooh, yeah. Sorry to hear that, Joanne. Consistency. So to Joanne, a little coaching here with fear. Don't even resist your fear, love. It's a game changer. I am running from myself when I am haphazard rather than consistent. That's right. Consistency is so important. So is discipline. No one likes the D word, but I'm going to say it. These are like actually the keys to your true happiness, because when you're not living a life and like with resistance on the altar, everything starts to open up for you. So go ahead and take yourself off mute as we come to a close. Yes, Erin, sending a prayer for you and your sister Joanne. Sending you love, Joanne. You're getting some love here from the tribe. I will be off for the next 2 weeks. I will be back the January 5th. January 5th. Mwah.
Thank you,
Sending you all so
Carina.
much love and blessings. You're welcome, Marilyn.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
break and have a good week, everybody.
Thank you.
And
Thank
good
you.
luck to us as we lean towards our resistance.
Yes, all of us, right? We're all in this together. Happy
Sending
holidays.
extra love and strength.
Bye.
Yay. Thank you,
Namaste.
Marilyn.
Love you.
Bye, everybody. Love
Bye.
you all.
You too. Bye.